guys, what is up? Welcome to this special series. I'll be your speaker for today's video. For those who don't know me, my name is Serrano. I am a travel, lifestyle, and tech content creator. I've been vlogging for over 3 years now. I make informative travel videos, tech reviews, and I make my own personal content when I have the time. So, before we dive into this series about editing workflow for vlogging, I just want to ask you guys, how are you doing? I hope you guys are staying home, staying safe, and practicing social distancing. I mean, this is a challenge for everyone, and I urge everyone to practice being socially responsible so that this quarantine will be over soon. Now, since majority of us are staying at home and we are limited to go out, Fujifilm and I have partnered up to help you guys get the most out of the situation by doing this webinar so that our creative juices are still alive and hopefully you get to learn something new after watching this video. So, in terms of this discussion, here are the topics that I will talk about for this series. I'll be talking about pre-production, like how to prepare your shots before you actually put your footages into your editing software. I'll be talking about storage, like what are the memory cards, hard drives that I use in order to securely keep your footages intact. Next, I'll be talking about organizing, like how do I organize my footage so that it's easier for me to find them, and if ever over time I would like to go back to my files, it's easy for me to remember where did I place them. And lastly, I'll talk about the editing workflow itself, like how do I come up with a story, how do I stitch up the footages, and make your vlogs even more creative. Okay? So in terms of pre-production, I don't want to be all technical about this. This is where you ask yourself, what is the goal of your vlog? Because a lot of people tend to take for granted and rely heavily in post-production, meaning I can fix that in editing. But of course, we want you guys to practice to get it right the first time. For example, preparation of your camera settings. Now, I use a Fujifilm X-A7 as my main vlogging camera. And here are the questions that I ask myself before I start shooting. Are you planning to shoot 4K? Full HD? Will I shoot wide or tight shots? What FPS am I going to use? 24, 30, 60, 120? These are actually just sample questions that I ask myself before actually doing the shoot. Because believe it or not, preparing your camera settings before shooting can help make you a better editor. Now let's talk about like the Fujifilm X-A7. Now since it's capable of shooting up to 60 frames per second, I can do slow motion shots. Instead of looking at a footage at normal speed, it makes a big difference if I try to slow it down. Another example, if I have a XT200. Since it has a digital gimbal, I won't have to worry about shaky shots, and it has a much higher FPS, up to 120 frames per second. So that even makes a more buttery, smooth, slow motion shot, or even do speed ramping in post-production. So those are like sample things to think about before you actually put your footages into your editing software. Another thing to prepare for when it comes to pre-production is having a storyboard. A storyboard is a graphical representation of how you want to organize your footages in sequence. It actually helps in organizing your thought process to make your videos. But Joe, what if I'm not good at drawing? You don't need to be good at drawing, you can just list down the things that you can shoot. That way, over time, you may just organize your thoughts quickly and be spontaneous when you shoot. Sometimes when I make a vlog, I have no idea what's gonna happen on that day, and that's where my creativity comes into play. For me, if there's no plan for that day, just have fun with it. At the end of the day, it goes back to my question. What is the goal of your vlog? The next topic we are going to talk about is storage. It's really important to store your footage in good memory cards and hard drives. I've been hearing stories from other content creators that their memory cards got corrupted while transferring, and it's just the worst feeling ever when your footages just disappear. Personally, I use SanDisk memory cards, the extreme version for video capturing. I also use a Seagate external hard drives. I make it a point that I store all my footages in an external hard drive so that my computer doesn't slow down and my editing device is fully used. Now that we're done with storage, let's talk about organizing. Now I'm gonna show you how I organize my files in such a way that it's simple, yet it's effective for me to locate my footages in a certain order. Okay, so let's head towards my desktop. Okay, this is my photos and videos folder. And as you can see, it's organized by year. And when you open a certain folder, it represents the year of when I shot those footages. So let's open 2019, for example. And as you can see, let me show it in this order. So as you can see, the way I organize my files is by year, month, and date. And then I place the title of that folder. That way it shows that it is numerically in order depending on the time, the date that I shot those footages. And it's good to have a title, that way you'll know what is inside those files. So let's try to open let's go for a more recent folder. Let me open 2020. Okay. Actually, this is my newest hard drive. It's a Seagate hard drive. And if you notice, my older hard drive, it's a 2 terabyte hard drive and I already finished it. So it's only around earlier this year I was able to start using my new hard drive. So let's go to 2020. And let's look into Fujifilm Academy Online. Okay? So as you can see, when I was making this webinar, I sort out the types of files that I need to create it. So I have like an action camera, the Fujifilm X-A7, I have the music for the vlog sequence that I'm gonna use for when I make vlogs. I have the music for the webinar. I have the sound effects that I use for the vlog. Some supplementary shots that I use, like the OBS screen capture. And I have another folder. Well, this is for the folder that I use when I'm using Facebook as my platform. Okay? So this type of organization actually works for me. You guys can customize it in any way that suits you better. And when I open Adobe Premiere Pro to make a new project, I just type, let's say, Fujifilm sample sequence. And I just drag all the folders into import media to start. And there you have it. That's how I organize my folders for me to edit them in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now that we're done discussing the 3 topics of this webinar, we are now gonna dive into the editing workflow. Now, in terms of editing software, I don't want to be too technical of which editing software you should use. For me, whatever software suits your needs and your device's needs is okay. At the end of the day, an editing software is your tool to help build and stitch your stories. What I can recommend for beginners, for PC or Mac, you can use iMovie or DaVinci Resolve. For phone users, I use LumaFusion, but this is only available for Apple. For Android, you can go for Adobe Premiere Rush or Filmora Go. But when I edit in a normal basis, personally, I edit in a MacBook Pro and using Adobe Premiere Pro as my software. I believe the reason why some people have a hard time using editing software like Adobe Premiere Pro is because of the interface. It can be intimidating and the interface looks a bit complicated, but this is where time and practice comes into play. Once you're more familiar with the interface, once you're more familiar in how to edit your videos, it will be much easier for you to make your vlogs. For the purpose of this webinar, I made a vlog sequence for you guys to watch, and afterwards, I'll show you a breakdown of how I made this video. Enjoy!
Community quarantine is hereby imposed in the entire of Metro Manila. In other areas, the LGUs are advised to abide by the following guidelines, imposing localized community quarantine in the respective jurisdiction. Land, domestic air, and domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila shall be suspended beginning March 15, 2020 and to end on April 14, 2020 sa alas 12.
Good morning! Okay, the first thing before we start this vlog is to make sure you guys have washed your hands. As you all know, Metro Manila is currently experiencing community quarantine because of the COVID-19, or also known as the coronavirus. While majority of us are staying at home and we are limited to go out, I decided to make a vlog to help you guys be productive and how can you maximize the time while we are currently on lockdown. Oh, nice to find you inside my cabinet. Well, one of the things that you guys can do while you're staying at home is actually to do general cleaning. I mean, when is the last time you actually clean your room, clean your cabinet, and who knows, you might actually find some things that you've been missing for such a long time. Such as myself, I found some interesting things. Another productive thing you can do is to exercise at home. I mean, if you guys have gym membership outside, at least you are saving a lot of money to just do your stretchings, your basic exercises right here inside your home. And another thing you can do is to catch up on your favorite TV shows. I usually watch Netflix, and there's a lot of movies, a lot of TV series that are quite interesting to binge watch, and it just passes the time. And did I mention that I found something interesting while I was doing general cleaning? Well, this is the Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks, the author of World War Z. And I find some interesting things which I hope I would not actually use, like how to use weapons, some combat techniques. Let's hope I won't use that. But there's a chapter here called Living in an Undead World. Some useful things, especially that's kind of relatable on how we're dealing with right now. Like list your gear and be ready, like if you're gonna go shopping. Study. For all you students out there, you still need to study at this time. You guys are our future, so study well. And the last thing you can do, well, for me, like a content creator, is to continue improving your skills. Because even if we get to practice a lot of things outside, you can still be able to practice and hone your skills inside your house. Alrighty, that ends my video for today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my social media pages. This is Joe Serrano signing out, and I will see you in my next vlog. See you guys! Alrighty, that ends my vlog for this webinar. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and now we are gonna do a breakdown on how I actually made that vlog. Like, what is my workflow? How did I come up with a vlog like that? So going into Adobe Premiere Pro, this is actually my timeline of the vlog that I just made. So it's just a simple timeline, to be honest. And going back to my first question, what is the goal of your vlog? As you can see, this vlog is about how to be productive in our current situation. So that was my goal in how I wanted to translate that into a vlog. So I shot this in different settings in my camera. Some are in 4K, some are in Full HD. I use 60 frames per second, some are also using 24 frames. So I actually came prepared when I made this vlog. Now before I actually got all those footages and put them in Adobe Premiere Pro, I tried to search for music that actually matches the theme. So to find free music, you can just head to YouTube and search for non-copyrighted music. And you are gonna be given a lot of search results. The non-copyrighted music that I search for in YouTube are usually in vlog no copyrighted music, audio library, no copyrighted sounds. But mostly, for me to find like a certain type of music, I just search no copyrighted music and read the description. If it's free to use, then you can download it. And usually these kinds of no copyrighted music, they usually have a disclaimer that you have to credit them, put their credits into your description, because this is their way of getting exposure by giving their music for free. But if you prefer to have a much easier way to find music based on genre, based on tempo, based on mood, I go to Epidemic Sound. Now this is actually a paid subscription. I pay $15 per month for this. But what I like about it, it has a huge library that I can find a lot of music based on the theme, based on the mood, the genre, etc. And they also have sound effects. For me, I like using sound effects in my vlogs because it just enhances the video. And I believe that audio is just as important as having good footages. If you have bad audio, then you would also have a bad video. So going back to Premiere, let's go and start breaking down how I actually made this vlog. So to start off, I actually wanted to have like a familiar sequence where people heard the news, people heard about the community quarantine. So I just wanted to have like a sequence that reenacts that moment. So this part right here is actually two footages that I stitched together. This is one and this is another, the background. So it just zooms out to have that dramatic effect that, okay, it's about the news. And then if you notice at the end of this footage right here, there's some sound effects of the TV glitching and turning it off. So there are two sound effects there. And next would be a transition. Now I didn't use any fancy transition here. I actually use a audio-based transition. This is called an L-cut, where an audio is heard before you actually see the footage happening. So you heard the alarm clock first before you see me actually turning it off, snoozing it, and me waking up. And then from here, I actually made the transition from that blanket there. Because I noticed when I moved the blanket away, it was actually wiping the frame. So it made me just mask this out to create a transition. Okay? There's also a sound effects here of the blanket making a sound to enhance the audio. So there's me just waking up in the morning, and this right here is just cutting into action, meaning I put the camera in different angles and I cut it in a way that the story continuously flows like that. And there's an action camera. This is the only camera that's an action camera in this footage. And then, if you notice, the sound effect of the water faucet is an L cut to introduce me talking there. As you all know, Metro Manila is currently experiencing, and a good way for your viewers not to get bored is to introduce supplementary footage or B-rolls onto your main footage. So while I'm talking about the current situation, I'm also introducing supplementary shots. So this is just me, and the camera is on a tripod, so it's just, I'm using a zoom out effect in Premiere to give like a little bit of drama. And then goes back to me. And then I started introducing another supplementary shot. And if you notice, this one pans into my black curtain. And since my black curtain is the same color as when it gets dark, I place my camera inside the cabinet. So it's like an invisible cut, but I just match the colors so that it match seamlessly. So there, I start talking about general cleaning, another B-roll. This footage right here is used in 4K because I had to crop in, but when I'm cropping out, the file needs to be a bit bigger to give that effect. This one is shot in 60 frames per second. That's why it's in slow-mo. And then switches back to me talking. And then this part right here is another invisible cut. But this time, I didn't cut it by matching the colors. I cut it based on matching the action. So since I am panning towards the right, I make sure the next footage is the same direction going to that new footage. So it just cuts seamlessly because I'm using the camera movement to hide the cut. So that's me again, talking about, well, exercising. And using different cuts. This type of cut is called jump cut, meaning I cut in the same frame, but your subject is doing a different action. So it's the same frame, but it's being cut because I'm doing different action. And it goes to the TV sequence. Another B-roll. Slow motion, slow motion. This is actually a hand shot. I didn't use a gimbal or anything because the Fujifilm X-A7 has a digital stabilization as well. I just turned it on so that I could do easy hand movement, zooming in or zooming out. And this is actually a time-lapse sequence using the Fujifilm X-A7. Okay, and then now we're gonna introduce me about the book that I found while I was doing the general cleaning. So, right here, this is actually a speed ramping sequence. So, it started slow and then became fast, slow, fast, and then slow again. That's the beauty of using high FPS in this sequence, because I can either slow it down, make it fast, because it has more frames per second. And if you notice, there are some sound effects here as well. The page turning, some zombie sounds, and someone calling for help. And me talking about the book. Another B-roll sequence, just talking about it. So make sure, if ever you're doing a B-roll sequence, make sure it helps create the story. So since I'm talking about a certain chapter of the book, I show the title of that chapter. Another slow motion sequence, supplementing your main footage. And me talking about the book again. And this is another footage that I combined two different footages. I used my main footage and just sticked it to another footage, which is actually a OBS screenshot of me as if I'm playing a sequence in Adobe Premiere Pro. And this is another sequence, two footages stitched into one. And using the zoom out effect to give a little bit of drama. Like, it gives like a inception moment, like, oh, I'm watching a vlog in a vlog. I wanted to give that idea to my viewers. And yeah, that's how I created my vlog. Summary, guys. First thing, pre-production. Always have a goal in mind when it comes to creating your story. Like how I did with my sample vlog, I talked about how to be productive in our situation right now. Next is to plan out your shots. Make sure to set your camera in such a way that you want to achieve a certain look into your footage, whether you're using 4K, Full HD, or changing your frames per second. Next, don't forget to use good memory cards and store your footages in an external hard drive. That way, you can maximize your computer's hardware. Then, organize your shots based on year, month, date, and title. That way, it's easier for you to find your shots, especially if you want to look back to them. And when it comes to the editing part, I usually try to find the music first. Try to use non-copyrighted music or use paid subscription so that your videos won't be flagged in Facebook or in YouTube. Then it's just laying your shots in such a sequence that follows your story. Don't forget to use different cuts like the L cut for audio-based transitions. Use different kinds of colors, texture to match the sequence, cut based on the movement of the camera, and use supplementary shot to support your main shot. And of course, just have fun making your story. So this ends my webinar. If you guys enjoyed learning from me, please share your support and share this video to your friends. I would like to give a special thanks to Fujifilm for inviting me to make this webinar to share my knowledge to you guys, to all you aspiring content creators out there. And I hope you learned a thing or two coming from me. And if you guys have any questions regarding this webinar, please comment down in the comment section. And if you want to be updated in my upcoming work, you can follow me at Joe Serrano in Facebook and in YouTube, and also in Instagram at the Joe Serrano. Alright? Thank you guys for your time and watching this webinar. And I hope to see you in my next vlog or sometime in the future. Alright? Stay safe, stay creative, and keep on practicing. Alright? This is Joe Serrano signing out. I'll see you when I see you. See you guys.